Oh, yeah. Have you ever had a high performer on your team that just drove you up the damn wall? Like they could make stuff happen, right? Like they could execute, they would deliver, they would get things done. But son of a gun, man, working with them just sucked. Well, guess what? I used to be that guy. And what I want to talk through today is like how, like two things, specific things on how to deal with or manage that type of personality. And if you need to give it a label, I think of them as like highly technically skilled or technical expertise, not meaning that they're super IT digital people, but just that they're very skilled in a specific thing and they're probably at the top of the pack in terms of performance. The issue with them is they could hold you hostage, and more importantly, their behavior, if it's not appropriate and aligned with the team, it can kill team performance. And so, before we get into like the 2 points, you got to know if this is your first time here, I'm Jesse, your selfish servant. My mission is to leave the construction industry better than I found it. I know I can't do that alone. And that's why we are launching the Construction Leadership Lab today. Actually, after this call, we're going to have the big kickoff call with the test pilots. So if you're interested in that community, drop community down in the chat and I'll make sure, or I'll find a way to get you the link so you can get on the first to know list. Anyhow, back to the point. What we're going to be talking about is how to deal, or two techniques, two tactics on dealing with or managing high ego, highly skilled, high level of expertise people on your team, so that you can get the most out of them, and also so that they don't hold you hostage and undermine your whole damn business. The 2 points we're going to go over, number one is like letting them know where their limits are, like what the boundaries are of their career if they don't change their behavior. And number two is kind of a framework that's totally applicable for any employee. And it's looking at things or evaluating the next step, the next performance management step based on willingness and capability. So we're going to start with letting them know what the ceiling is for them, letting them know that if they do not change their behavior, or if they adapted new behaviors, they could access new limits. And again, this comes from firsthand experience, not necessarily managing those high ego, we'll just call them knuckleheads, but from being that guy. Like for real, that was me. That's the way I function. I knew that I was good in my job. I knew that I was probably leading the pack. And because I knew that I would get away with stuff. And so I was not the nicest person to my fellow employees, my colleagues, my team members, and I sure as hell wasn't nice to the customer. And in construction, it's kind of important, well, really any business. And so I'm gonna give you a story of how this played out, like for real. I was a foreman, and I know as handsome as I am, it's hard to believe that I was out there in the field. But yes, I was a foreman, and I was a pretty damn good foreman. And my boss, luckily, key point, I had a boss that wasn't scared to like call me on my stuff and let me know where I needed to improve and how to improve. And so he pulled me aside and he was like, "Hey, Jess, you do great on budgets. Like you're making money on your projects. You're doing great on schedule. We're finishing on time." And I'm like, "Well, yeah, I'm a foreman. Like that's what I'm supposed to do." He says, "But people quit on you and our clients hate you." And I was like, "Yeah. Well, you need to hire better people and you need to find better clients," which, that's not really realistic or reasonable. And the issue was my behavior. I did not follow all the policies. I deviated from whatever was supposed to be. I was very rude. I was very abrasive. I was single-mindedly focused on my personal success, which, man, I didn't give a damn about anybody else's issues except for me. And it created we'll just call it an unsustainable situation. And it drove my managers crazy. Like it really, really pissed them off. Now, the conversation, and I want to add, like this at risk of sounding like letting y'all know how egotistical I can be. I knew, I'm like, fire me. I know nobody can take my job. I know that if whoever you're going to backfill in my position is going to underperform because I had it going on. And so I had a level of expertise and understanding of doing the work and how to execute the work and plan the work and tie it to budgets and all the technical part. I didn't have the human part, right? Like the interest in people, the relationship stuff. And so I leveraged that and I used it in a way against the company to get away, to have my way and do whatever the hell I wanted whenever I wanted to do it. So my boss pulls me over and he says, Jess, here's the deal. You are successful operating the way that you operate. But if you refuse to change your behavior, you are going to stay at the level that you're at. Which at the time I was fine. Like, okay, whatever. I'm great. Like I didn't want a raise. I didn't want a promotion. I just want to kick butt in the role that I'm at. Believe it or not, people, there are folks out there that aren't like super, super hungry to run up the corporate ladder. They're just fine doing the damn job that they have. And I was that guy at that time. And then here's the trick. He said, fine, I understand, but I want to show you who is on the list to get promoted to superintendent. And they were my colleagues, right? They were people that I worked with. And I said, I am like, if they're a superintendent, I'm a foreman, I have to report to them. Technically, they're my boss. And I knew they were dummies, or maybe a better way to say it. I knew that I was more skilled at them, at the job, or than them, right? And so I'm like, I'm not going to work for them goofballs. Like they're weak. And he says, okay, so here's the choice you have. And this was the critical point. You can either change the way, add some tools to your toolbox in the way you're leading, in the way you're doing your job, or I don't want to hear you complain because you're not going to get on the list if you don't change your behavior, the way you function, the way you treat people. And that was the motivation for me. And so let's peel away all the little stories about the way I used to behave and the way I used to treat people. For me, again, highly skilled, pretty damn arrogant, treated people like garbage, didn't follow the rules because I knew I could get away with it. The money was not my motivation. A promotion was not my motivation. My motivation was that I was going to have to be reporting to ding-dongs, to scrubs, right? Like people that I didn't have a lot of respect for. And so I said, okay, like if I don't want that, what do I need to do? And so, I'm sure I've talked about this before. You may have heard it 10 times by now, but that was one of the pivotal moments in my career. But the management skill, the management tactic was I was a highly skilled, highly competent individual in a particular role. These people exist in every organization. Some of them are really cool, right? Like they're helpful and they're good for team morale and all of those like nice things. Some of them are not. Some of them are like me, super, super arrogant, super sure of themselves, and didn't really care about anybody else or long-term picture for the organization. All I cared about was me and my check. And so what my boss did, and the tactic is be clear with them about what the ceiling is, right? Like, let them know if this is as far as you're going to go. Sure, I know some of you are like, yeah, man, I just want to get rid of them. I'm going to talk about that. That's tactic number 2. Tactic number 1 is being ultra clear about what the limits are in terms of their influence, their career growth, their earning potential, if they don't change their behavior, if they don't add some tools to their toolbox. And then like for me, a little extra layer, let them know like, okay, don't be complaining about these people getting promoted because right now they're your peers and they're on the list, they're on the succession plan. So don't be pissing and moaning when you have to report to them because right now you're actively making a choice not to be on that list. And so that was the thing for me. I was like, oh, okay, fine. What do I need to do? And luckily I worked for a super awesome organization and I got all kinds of training, people skills, communication, all these things that really helped me change my game and set the stage or set the direction for how I function and operate now. Again, main point, you got a high performer that's holding you hostage, that's undermining morale because they refuse to play by the rules or be like a good team player. You got to sit them down and let them know, like, okay, you're doing good at your job, but you suck as a team member, and these are the implications, or these are the limits of where you can go if you continue to operate the way you're operating. It's just simple conversation, adding some stuff to it. You know what you got, you know what leverage you have out there, but do not ignore it. Because if you ignore it, all you're doing is signaling to the rest of the team that type of behavior is okay. And that's no bueno. That's bad news. Okay. So that takes us to tactic number 2, which is, and I don't know where I stole this from, but I stole it from somewhere. I read it somewhere, is when we're dealing with performance management, right? Managing people's performance. If you're a manager, supervisor, boss, whatever the right word is, team leader, you have to have conversations with people when they're not meeting expectations or when they're unable to perform the necessary skills to execute the job. It's not fun, but it's part of the damn job. It's like the core function of the job. And so when we're evaluating that type of thing, and I'm pretty damn sure the little story I gave you and where my boss was like, bro, like you got it here, but if you want to get here, you're going to have to change. It's evaluating the individuals from 2 perspectives: willingness and capability. Very simple. Like, I try to keep it simple. And let me add this. Your company probably has a performance management process. Follow that first. Like, for real, it's probably something like have a one-on-one conversation, give them a written warning, then do a formal write-up that with suspension, and then termination, right? But all of those are documented occurrences. I'm not saying that's your process, but most companies have some kind of process. If you got people on your team that ain't like cutting the cheese, just use the damn process. I promise it will help you, and it will help the individual. Now, we're just going to assume everybody's using the company process in terms of performance management, which is super, super important, not fun, but necessary. Now we start talking about the willingness and capability. And so what we want to check in an individual, you bring them into the team, you got to train them, you got to get them oriented, do this stuff, help them, set them up for success. And then you put them to work. And if they're not meeting the expectation, we got to have a check-in, right? Like, that's just part of management. And what we're checking for is willingness and capability. Are they willing to do the job? Are they willing to conform to the expectations of the team behavior? Are they willing to stop being a butthead, right? Like, are they willing to do the things that are necessary to be successful at the role? If it's a yes, awesome. We go to the next box. The next box is, are they capable? Can they do the job? Like, do they have the skill set to execute the task? Sometimes we'll be able to find like, ooh, not really or not yet, but they've made progress. Fantastic. If they've made progress and the capability is still a little weak, shore them up, right? Give them some more training, give them some more support, whatever is necessary, and then let them go work and then come back again. Willingness and capable. If they got the willingness and they got the capability, then you're golden. And so that's the simple, super simple cycle, right? Now, capability is easy because that's usually just a training function, right? We can give them some more training, access to resources, mentoring, support, all of these beautiful things. If you're at an organization that doesn't have that, I'm just here to tell you, in the construction industry, there are more and more organizations, rather more and more leaders that are committed to setting their people up for success. So if you're at a place that doesn't appreciate, doesn't invest you, doesn't have the systems to help you develop and grow, you don't have to stay there. I know it's not easy, but you don't have to stay there. I promise there are more and more leaders out there that are really committed to investing in who they got. So all you got to do is go find them, DM me, hit me up, and I've got friends. I can see if maybe we put you in contact with them. Anyways, back to the main point. We talked about capability. We can train them. We can shore them up. And if we find out, and this is up to you, for me, I'm like 2 or 3 rounds. If I've given you 3 rounds of like, let me support you and help you build the capability, and the progress isn't sufficient, I'm not going to terminate you. I'm probably going to find another spot or another assignment for you that can leverage and tap into your actual capabilities that you do have. So you're still on the team, you're just on a different spot. Now, when it comes to willingness, this is a totally Jesseism, but I super recommend it. When the individual on the team is unwilling to make any changes, to learn new methodologies, to try a different way, my recommendation is release them to the industry. It doesn't mean they're a bad person. Their mode of operation is just to do what the hell they want, the way they want, whenever they want. And that's okay for them, but it's not okay for your team. It's not okay for the organization. So the best thing you can do for the team, for your organization, is let that person go. And what you'll probably find, because this is what I found, there's been a few people that I've terminated, more than a few, but a few that I've terminated that came back and was like, Jess, bro, thank you for getting me out. Like, I never would have quit. But the fact that you made the action to fire me, I found a place that I love, or I found a whole new industry, a whole new job that, man, I was miserable there. That was part of why I was being a jerkhead. I found this other place, this other group of people that do things differently that fits perfectly with me. And so, like, for real, they may just not be in the right space with the right group. They have we'll just say different expectations, different values. And so trying to change their value set and all of that, man, that's a major deep dive. And so if you're just jumping on right now, what we're talking about, or what I'm talking about, is dealing with high ego people that are highly skilled in a particular role. Like if you're a manager, if you lead people, you've dealt with these folks, right? And where is my experience coming from? It's from me being that guy, right? My nickname used to be Teflon Jesse, because I got away with way too much. Like, I am eternally grateful for all the people that tolerated me and made space for me to finally mature and develop. But they went above and beyond in putting up with my crap, because I had a massive ego. I was super arrogant. I knew I was good at my job. I knew that I was better than the other guys in the same position. And because of that, I acted a fool. And it wasn't okay, but I did it. What happened? Tactic number one, my boss sat me down and he painted a very clear picture of what the limitations of my career, my future was. He didn't threaten to fire me. He's like, well, still, like, we need you. You're good. You suck at these things, but you're never going to progress any higher than this, because of the way you behave, because of the way you treat people, because of the way you communicate. Like, straight up is exactly what he told me. And then he said, and these people here are going to be on the list to get promoted. And I was like, they were my friends, right? My coworkers. It's like, I'm not going to report to those ding dongs. He's okay. If you don't want that situation, I'm not going to put up with you complaining. So you either do something to change your behavior or shut your damn mouth. And I said, okay, well, help me, fix me, right? Tell me what I need. And what did he do? He vetted, am I willing? Right? He motivated me to be willing to change my behavior. And I did have the capability. And so I went through training, all kind, like over and over, lots and lots of, it took a lot of work for me to start treating people like people, which seems dumb, but I the industry kind of helps a lot of us, reinforces us being aggressive and undermining people or undervaluing people. And so that's the point, man. And I got a bonus point, which I touched on, but I'm going to reiterate. When you're managing difficult people that have very, very high level of expertise, highly technically skilled at the role, there's not a lot of them. We all know that. They can hold you hostage. They can hold the team hostage. They can hold the company growth hostage. That's not a good thing. So you've got to address it. How do you address it? Paint the damn picture of what the ceiling is, what the limitations are, and like what their future looks like, because they're not going to change their behavior, so that it's ultra clear, being super clear about what the consequences are in terms of them choosing to continue going down the same road, because you're probably not going to terminate them. Now, if you are going down that path, gauge their willingness and their capability, right? Are they willing to make the change? If they are, that's all I need is somebody that's willing to try new things, to learn new skills, to operate differently. Willing. We can work on the capability. We got training, we got resources, we got support that we can offer them to like nurture that willingness to get them to the level that we need them to be. All right. And so do not let them take you hostage. And another thing I want to add is the whole idea here is not just necessarily of like complaining about freaking people like Jesse, but like, how do you activate your people? Meaning your internal people, your employees, they're your number one customer. They are the ones that interact with everybody else. They are the representatives of your organization, of your team, etc. And so how do you activate them? Last live stream, the previous one we had, we were talking about activating the doers, right? The people that are pretty new or just come in and work 7 to 3:30. We introduce them to their autonomy. We engage their critical thinking so that they're aware of, they have more stroke within their circle of influence, and they can start growing that. The second bucket is the technical, we'll say the technical terrorists, because we like to hold the organization hostage with our behavior. And what actually happened, like, again, right now, the life I'm living is proof that it worked, that my boss activated me back then by sitting me down, painting the picture of what my limitations were, painting the picture of what it is I needed to do so that I can expand beyond where I was at the time and what the consequences were. That activated me, and then engaged based on willingness and capability. We built the capability, and the rest is history. So I appreciate y'all being here on the live. If you're watching the replay, leave a comment, and just in case you didn't know, I am currently working to build a group, a community of people that are committed to leave the construction industry better than we found it. The name of that group is the Construction Leadership Lab, where we're doing all kinds of stuff about leadership and running people, managing people, and driving change. So if you're interested on being getting on the first to know list of the Construction Leadership Lab, drop community in the chat. I'll find a way to get you the link so that you can get on the list. Because right now we're in the test phase, but August 29th, we're going to open up the doors for general registration after we smooth out a bunch of the rough spots. So appreciate you. Be kind to yourself. Be cool. And we'll talk at you next time. Peace. Chicken.